order. Everyone needs you to quiet down, please. We're getting ready to start the meeting. All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. At this time, we're going to open the meeting with an invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Invocations by Commissioner Ben Thomas.
Heavenly Father, as we begin this evening's work, may your guidance illuminate our path and your blessings enrich our efforts. May we stay focused on what is important for all our residents here in South Pasadena. Bless each and every one in this season of peace and love with hope and tranquility. Where there is hardship, may all find rest. Where kindness is needed, may each find tenderness. May tomorrow bring a better day for all. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Carly, if you can call the roll, please.
Heiner.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Thompson. Here. Reed.
Here.
Penny.
Here. All right, we're going to start off with the first item on the agenda, which is reports. And we're going to start off with Vice Mayor Gail Neidinger and Public Safety.
Okay. The Christmas season with its festive decorations, lights, and gatherings brings joy and celebration. However, it also increases the risk of fire-related accidents. Some key safety risks during Christmas. Christmas trees. Natural trees, if not properly watered, can dry out quickly, making them more prone to catching fire. Christmas lights, faulty lights, or overloading electrical circuits can lead to electrical fires. Candles, decorative candles often used during Christmas dinners or as part of holiday decor are a significant fire hazard. They can easily tip over or be left unattended, especially in the presence of pets or children. Heating sources, space heaters often used during the cold weather, pose risks if not used properly, especially if placed near flammable materials or left on for too long. For cooking, with increased cooking and baking during the holidays, there's a higher chance of kitchen fire. Recommended safety practices for fire: tree care, keep trees well watered, and ensure they are placed at least 3 feet away from heat sources. Artificial trees should be labeled as fire resistant. Christmas lights, always inspect lights for frayed wires or broken bulbs before use. Only use lights approved by safety standards, UL rated, and avoid overloading circuits. Turn off all lights when leaving the house or going to bed. Candle safety, never leave candles unattended. Consider using battery-operated candles as a safer alternative. Heating safety, if using space heaters, ensure they are kept at least 3 feet away from any flammable objects. Turn off heaters when leaving a room or going to bed. And for cooking, never leave cooking unattended, especially when using hot oil or high heat. Keep a fire extinguisher or a pot lid nearby in case of small grease fires. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. And next we're going to go with Ben Thomas in Finance.
The Finance Department is currently developing the damage assessment inventory to report our damages to FEMA, due on January 17th. On November 20th, we held our FEMA Recovery Scope meeting for Hurricanes Helene and Milton. This meeting officially begins the 60-day regulatory time frame for the city to identify and report damages and labor. Finance and Public Works have hosted the introductory and follow-up meeting with our property insurance adjuster. Initial estimates showed $776,000 in gross replacement value and approximate estimate deductibles of $254,000 for a net of approximately $522,000. These numbers are very preliminary, and we are all awaiting the estimate from the flood insurance adjusters. The flood insurance policies will provide the first layer of reimbursement and will reduce the above property insurance replacement costs. Debris pickups are essentially completed as of December 10th. Estimated costs are unavailable as finance is waiting for invoices from the hauling and monitoring services for roughly 26,000 cubic yards of debris removed from the city. The Finance Department continues to work on year-end closeout of financial statements, reconciliations, and adjusting entries. The kickoff meeting with our new auditors is scheduled for this Thursday, December 12th. Just some real rough numbers about our financials. Our general fund had a revenue of $1.942 million this year. Our expenses were $7.406 million, which leaves us a surplus of about $1,735,000. Our capital improvement fund, the revenues totaled $1.2 million, expenses totaled $7.908 million, which left a deficit of $6.678 million. Our sewer fund, the revenues totaled about $1.806 million, and expenses totaled $1.832 million, for a deficit of about $25,000 in the sewer fund. Our reclaimed water fund, the revenues totaled $369,000 approximately, and expenses totaled $163,000 approximately, for a surplus of about $206,466. And Mr. Mayor, that's my report.
Thank you very much. And we're going to go with Commissioner Linda Thompson and Community Improvement.
Thank you, Mayor. Of the 3,200 addresses, there are 195 substantial damage letters that still need to be processed and mailed. We have issued 97 building permits and received 225 applications since September of '26. We held a community meeting where representatives from FEMA, SBA, and the Florida State Flood Plan Administration met with residents to assist with applications and answer questions. We are hopeful that we will get additional assistance in the near future as we complete the structural damage estimate letters and process permits for repair to damaged structures. The Florida Division of Emergency Management announced Florida's first statewide residential mitigation program, Elevate Florida. The goal of this program is to enhance community resilience by mitigating private residents against natural hazards. The following projects are eligible under the statewide residential mitigation program: structure elevation, physically rising an existing structure utilizing a variety of methods; mitigation reconstruction, construction of an improved elevated building where an existing building has been partially or completely demolished or destroyed. Reminder, all work to repair the structure to its pre-damage condition requires a permit. A substantial damage packet must be filled out completely for all work needed to bring the structure back to pre-damage conditions and submitted with the permit application. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. And next we'll go with Commissioner Tom Reed in Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Debris cleanup has been completed. If you have a small amount of cleanup left, you may put it in your Waste Connections can at the curb, and they'll take it. If you have a larger amount, you can request a special pickup or a roll-off dumpster to be brought to your location. The number for Waste Connections is 727-572-6800. Bayview Park Pavilion renovation is underway. They are working on the concrete slab, and the building of the pavilion should begin soon. The new playground equipment and the fire truck for the kids has been ordered. This usually takes 6 to 8 weeks. The playground will be for ages 2 to 6, unless I wander by, then it's for age 62. There's a contractor working on the removal of the damaged and sunken boats, and in fact, 2 were removed today, so it's looking much better out there. Thank you. Public Works continues to clean up our parks and properties, and we're working with the contractors and our insurance companies for repairs to our downstairs City Hall, so Hibiscus Hall will remain closed for a while. And then I would just like to personally offer a huge Christmas thank you, shout out, whatever you want to call it, to our entire Public Works team led by Sean Shimko for all the tireless work they've done putting our little piece of paradise back together. So thank you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. And lastly, I'll have the Administration Department report. As we near the end of the year, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for those in our community that came together during the days of hardship we faced in 2024. The road to recovery is long, but I know our staff, residents, and businesses are all working hard to move forward. Many of us have mixed feelings this holiday season after how severely the city was affected by the recent storm. But the Commission would like to offer an opportunity to share some festive cheer. Unfortunately, we had to cancel the holiday tree lighting and the lighted boat parade events, but the city will host a holiday party at Barbara Gilberg Habitat this Friday, December 13th at 6:30 p.m. The park has been decorated, and we will have refreshments, music, and I've heard that St. Nick might even stop by. For more information, please contact City Hall or check out the city's website or Facebook page. Qualifying for the March 11th, 2025 election of 2 commissioners ended on Friday, November 15th, at noon that day. 3 candidates qualified to run in the election: Ben Thomas, Linda Thompson, and Mark Ailes. I hope I've got McAleese. I'll get it. McAleese. City staff is working with the Pinellas County Supervisor of Elections to coordinate logistics for the election, as Hibiscus Hall is not expected to be ready to serve as the city's polling place in March. On Friday, December 6th, as was mentioned earlier, an informational session was held at City Hall featuring representatives from FEMA, the Small Business Administration, and the state of Florida, and city staff. General questions were addressed in the public meeting, and questions needing individual case review were taken in closed offices. The city has received positive feedback from the event, and staff is working to schedule another session in early 2025. All regularly scheduled commission meetings have been canceled from December 11th through January 6th. City offices will be closed at noon on December 24th and will be closed December 25th through December 27th in observance of Christmas. Offices will also close at noon on December 31st and will be closed on January 1st in observance of New Year's. And that is all I have for a report this evening. Move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is the People's Forum. So at this time, we're going to open the People's Forum, and this is a portion of the meeting when the public can speak on anything that is not on the agenda. So if there's anyone in attendance that wishes to speak at the People's Forum, please step forward. Come up to the podium, please.
Good evening. Hey. Oh, I have another question that I didn't get on there.
That's fine, if you can just start your comments with your name and address.
Okay. Susan Freeman, and my address is 6970 Grande Vista Way, South Pasadena, Pasadena Isle. So, can I have that back?
Yeah,
'Cause, you know,
I have it when you're done.
yeah.
Thank you.
There's so many things in my mind right now. I wake up every morning with those thoughts of how to get back in my house, and I go to sleep every night with the same thoughts. As I know some of you have had to deal with that as well. And I'm pretty sure everybody here tonight has had to deal with those issues and those thoughts constantly. I guess what I didn't put on here, and given everything I've heard here tonight, my first question is, I understand there was a proposal at the last meeting to waive permit fees. I haven't heard anything discussed about that tonight.
That's because it's part of the agenda.
Okay, so it's later. Okay, good. The second thing, or the first thing on my list was, please explain the lack of accurate and timely information after the storms. Lack of information breeds fear, and residents have proceeded with fear instead of being well informed about the permit requirements that have been changing out of the norm. You guys have a Facebook page, you have a website. There has been very minimal information in a timely manner put out there. And all these people can do is guess and go on rumors and conjecture about what they need to do. I just learned Friday morning or Friday afternoon here that the 5 things that don't need a permit now need a permit. So the information that has been provided to these residents has been minimal at best. Shame on you. This isn't that big of a city. And there should have been better information put out right from the get-go. If you're going to change the permitting rules suddenly, then that information should have been provided. Just this afternoon, I got another phone call from another resident that said they're waiting on a permit and were never told about the FEMA packet. I don't know if these are deep, dark secrets, but they shouldn't be. That information should be out there every single day from this council. Every single day. And if it's not, again, shame on you. That's why we elected you to take care of us, and you haven't done it. The next question, and this comes from one of my neighbors who wanted to be here tonight. He's the oldest person on that island. He's been there since he was 9 years old. Do you truly understand, and I know some of you might, the emotional and financial hardship that you have imposed on these people who elected you to take care of us?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else?
I left a card earlier.
Oh, this is you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. If you can just start with your name and address, that'd be great.
My name is John Strauss, 6901 South Shore Drive South on Pasadena Island. I just have a general question, which I've been hearing different things about. This applies to the one-year look-back rule. If a person had work done 1 year prior to an upcoming permit, under these current circumstances, does that, does the cost of those improvements have to be deducted from the FEMA allowance or the FEMA letter?
Okay, that is something, of course, you'd have to call the building department about. We don't have that information for you up here. But yeah, it's like with anything else, our staff fielded calls from people left and right, providing them with all the information they needed. All they had to do was call City Hall or call the building department, and people were there to help. So all you have to do is just give them a call, and they will assist you. So just call the CID department or even stop in and see them, and they'll be glad to help you out.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yes.
Please start with your name and address.
Dorothy Baker, 6916 South Shore Drive, South in South Pasadena. I'm going to take issue with what you just said, Mayor. I have called the city improvement. Oftentimes, the phone number is busy. You can leave. I have gotten to talk to them, but the information is not as free-flowing as you make it seem. And that's why I agree with her in this idea that we have all of these avenues to keep our residents informed. You have social media, you have the Facebook page, you have the website. There's no reason that we have to sit on a phone for 15 minutes on hold or waiting to try to get in with a busy signal to get the information that we need so that we can start repairing our homes and get back into our homes.
Thank you.
Michelle Miller, 6951 Grande Vista Way South, Pasadena, Isle. My home was deemed substantially damaged. And my question is, how did you arrive at that estimate to make it substantially damaged? And how can I obtain a copy of that estimate?
Okay, well, once again, you would have to get a hold of the building department, community improvement. We don't have that information
I've
here.
done that. All I have
We are not the building department.
one letter
All right.
that states the amount.
Well, I didn't type that letter. Neither one of us up here typed that letter. The people that are in charge of that area, the people that are licensed, the people that are prepared to answer those questions are there, not up here this evening. Okay? So they are here. They're here, but they're not here to answer your questions. Excuse me. You need to settle down, or I'll have this room cleared. Everybody speak at one time. Okay? We got one person up here. This is not a crowd. This is a person speaking. And I understand I have a lot of people in the same situation you are. A lot of friends. I've got the community that I manage besides here. 84 homes that people are displaced and out of. Okay? So I understand where you're at. I've been there since day one on this. All right? And I'm sorry. I'm sorry we don't have the exact answers for you up here, but we are not the professionals to give you that. We are the city commission, and we would have to go to them, ask them for this information to provide it to you. All right? And if you would have had these questions ahead of time, I would have done that for you. And so would anybody else sitting up here. But getting the questions is cold call to us, and you expect us to know every code in the book and why things are done. I'm sorry, we just don't.
But I've been conversing with Terry, trying to get
Excuse me.
information. But in conversing with neighbors, and all of this is on property appraisal. There's homes that are the same year as mine that sustained damage from Helene as well as Milton. Their square footage is more, and their structural damage, or their structural estimate is less than mine. So why is their home repairable, but mine is not?
Like I don't know what your home looks like.
But this is,
And-
I didn't allow anyone into my home.
Correct.
So from standing at the street, my home looks no different than my neighbor's home.
Right.
So how are the estimates? And my next question is,
Well, let me answer real quick on that one there. So I do know they do a drive-by, like a windshield type estimate, and they also use drones and footage from the waters to try to get their estimates. But no, they have not been in anyone's home, and that's why part of the FEMA requirements for us, at least, to make sure we do everything properly, is the pre-inspection before the permit is issued, which is all following in the process. So they can come inside, take a look, and who knows, maybe they get inside and say, it's not as bad, and that might change things. There are people I know that have gone out and got their own public adjuster.
yes,
So, and that is always recommended, so.
I have went to the extent of a private appraisal. The county was kind enough to increase my structure, but it's not quite, I'm just short of being able to repair my home because of your estimate on this one piece of paper. And if these people are doing windshield estimates, like I said, a lot of the homes look very much the same as what my home does on the exterior, the backyard. And I don't understand where the variance of the estimates are.
I understand. Like I said, I didn't perform the estimate. I don't know. That would be something you'd have to speak to them about.
Is my time up?
Yes.
Good evening.
It's actually a simpler question.
Okay, if you can just start with your name and address.
Amy Jensen Chrétien, 7060 South.
I didn't hear it.
Quiet, everyone.
Yes.
Is there any way we can get microphones?
No.
We can't hear anything, and we can't even hear you in the middle.
There is a microphone right where she's at, and if everyone would kind of be quiet, and when she's speaking, if she stands close, you will be able to hear.
Amy Jensen Chrétien, 7060 South Shore Drive South, South Pasadena, obviously. I am not under FEMA. My insurance is private insurance. Do I have the same rules as FEMA?
Yes.
Regarding
Maybe they can ask that.
permits and? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there. My name is Michael Keenan. I live at 1847 Shore Drive South. I'm a condominium. I understand that you guys maybe don't have a say over the building department, but you do hire and you must have communications with them. So my question to you is, we're trying to get a roof and we can't get a permit because of what the permit department is asking us to do is almost insurmountable. They want to know the total damage to every unit. They want to know the repair costs. They want to know the contractors who are going to do it. And for each individual unit, they don't even have contractors yet because we're trying to, figure out what we need to do. So it seems like the process to get the permit is beyond surmountable. And I think you guys should have a little bit of influence over what Terry's doing and what guidelines she's following to make it easier for us. We're 143 units. We're all 55 plus. We have people living without walls. We have a roof that we can't replace, and it just seems like if it's FEMA requirements, they're unrealistic. And our building's worth $38 million. We know we don't have $18 million worth of damage. So why we can't get a permit? It just seems unreasonable. And again, everyone's trying to follow the rules, but we seem to be up against a rock and a hard place. And I'm not sure what you can do about it, but you must be able to communicate with the building department on what they're requiring and when does it make sense and when is it just totally ridiculous.
I do have to say, I'm community improvement. I have been conversing, I'm on community improvement, and I have been conversing with Terry. And as you, like me, I was learning, not knowing all the process that you have to go through. And I at first thought, why aren't we getting it done? The process that we have to go through, if we don't go by FEMA, next year, they might not give us the 25% discount. And it is, we would love to, she gets all these calls, there's so many calls coming in, and I'm getting calls, and you feel really bad about it. Just like Lutheran Towers over here, all those elderly people in that 15-story, they have no power. I have been assisting those people to find a place to go. And it is heartbreaking, and I understand your, but we are, I mean, and she is working on it.
I get that, but
Yeah.
again, it's a common sense thing. Issue the permit on the stipulation that you have 3 months to provide the information. We cannot give you information that's being asked because no one has contractors yet. So how can we give a contractor name in the cost until we know we can do the repairs? Once again, that 50% rule, our building is worth $38 million. We know that, it's appraised, it's actually $45 million, but it's insured for 38. We don't have $18 million worth of damage. Everybody knows that. We have 39 units that are damaged. Even if you do $50,000 each, it's not going to hit that $18 million.
So quick question for you, sir. The roof came off during the flood?
No, the Milton.
They're in Milton, so that, it won't.
We're two different events.
So you would not be included in the FEMA.
Well, we're not talking about FEMA, but the permit for the roof, they're going by FEMA guidelines. So even though the roof wasn't damaged during Helene, which again, there were two events, everybody gets that.
Let's, our attorney answer that maybe.
Hi, I serve as the city attorney, but I also want to indicate to y'all, my law firm has dealt with these issues all over the state, specifically in Lee County. And I know it's frustrating, and I'm dealing with other of my clients. And y'all are frustrated, you got staff who are frustrated, and you have commissioners who want to help their constituents. But here's the reality of the situation, and it's a reality that nobody in South Pasadena can fix for you. If we don't follow the FEMA guidelines for all of these events, this isn't just maybe we can do this or maybe we can do that. If they don't follow it in the city of South Pasadena, there is not only just a significant risk that FEMA will remove the discount, they can suspend South Pasadena from having any opportunity to participate in the flood insurance program. This happened in Lee County. And in Lee County and several jurisdictions that my law firm has represented, they had to go back and prove that they went through all of these processes. It's frustrating, it's hard for everyone. And please, this is not just about what staff's doing. They are doing everything they're obligated to do under Florida law and under FEMA regulations. And it's not anything that can be dealt with or resolved in this room. It simply cannot. We're gonna all have to go through the process, and it's gonna take time, and it's gonna be frustrating. But FEMA literally went after several jurisdictions in Lee County, took away the rating from the city of Fort Myers, challenged, they gave it back, but they took it away, and it cost a lot of time and a lot of money, and for them to actually show that they went through all of the processes correctly, taking a little extra time, as frustrating it is right now, up front will ensure that doesn't become an issue down the line, and it will affect every citizen in the city of South Pasadena if we do not do it correctly. You are not the only jurisdiction facing this. This is happening in County. This is happening, I work in and represent the city of Tampa. They had significant flooding there. They're going through this exact same process, and they're going through it. If there's a feeling that there's not enough information being placed out there, that's a conversation maybe to have with staff later on. But the reality of what I'm saying isn't going to change by the commissioner saying, Terry, do something different. She cannot. She cannot. but I wanna say that because I don't want there to be a feeling that there's somebody not doing something in the city. They're doing everything they can. And the information part of it, I think, that is something that can be discussed.
I can speak to that a little bit as well.
Okay.
And that's something that we're ready to address. I want to make it very clear, a lot of the issues that you all are talking about, they are very specific, case by case by case. I know that there can be a situation of my house looks exactly like my neighbor's house. That doesn't mean that the information provided to the county for permitting is, the valuations are all very, very different. So it is complicated to put out widespread information that will be good for everyone, that will not cause almost more confusion, if that makes sense. So if the feedback is that we need to put more information out, we will absolutely work to address that. I just want you to understand it is very complicated, because the answer for you could be completely different for the answer for you. And if I put out the answer that works for him, it will make someone else's situation harder. So it's a moving target, and I'll tell you, we're doing the best we can. We will try to put out more information, but these are really, really complicated issues. Really complicated issues. And the information that the city is getting is not timely either. And so a lot of the time we are working to try to get information to get it to you. So part of the problem is we don't necessarily even have the answer that we are trying to get for you, if that makes sense. So it's not,
Then tell us
If
that.
they-
Tell us what she just told us. Tell us what you're telling them. You've got the social media platform, do it. Don't tell us now. You should have told us 2 months ago. That's what we're asking. Keep us well informed. That's your job. That's
So-
your job.
So I want to say I appreciate everything you guys do. I'm not sitting up there because I'm on my condo board, and that's enough for me. So I do fully appreciate that. But it is questionable as how a permit for the roof on Milton has to go by FEMA, the flood regulations. That to me, doesn't align. You know, we're not.
It's not specific to flood.
Okay,
It's disaster assistance in general. The 50% rule, it's substantial improvement. So it doesn't matter what caused it. The flood insurance program is a piece of that pie.
Okay, fair enough.
But if part of the consequences that the city could face if we do not follow FEMA's policies have nothing to do with flood. We could lose our opportunity to get any federal assistance for any kind of disaster at all. So it's a bigger issue.
So how would you recommend that I communicate to FEMA? Their requests and regulations are unrealistic. Someone has to be able to tell them, we cannot provide contractors for 49 units, and that's what they want. How can you do that? You can't do it.
I don't necessarily
So how do we get the permit?
disagree with you there, but that's something we have to address with that.
I'm sure I've upped with my time. Thank you all very much, but when you do talk to the.
But those items need to be addressed through your county and state representatives and of course, the federal government, but.
Listed all those numbers on it.
I know it's rough, but.
Thank you all. Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else?
Sure. I'm Lou Alatorre, and I live at 7051 South Shore Drive, South, over in Pasadena, Isle. I'm not going to speak up. Listen, everybody be quiet. These people are doing a great job for what they've been hired to do. And I don't know what they're making, and I don't care. It's not fair if we sit here and beat these people up for them trying to do their job. So everybody just relax. I'm in the same situation you are. My house was destroyed. And I'm trying to get my house back too. But yelling at them isn't going to get it done. I'm sorry. My question is this. When you guys hired the little Mexican and Cuban and the little bulldozers that came through Pasadena Isle that basically rammed into the piles that we had set up on the street and sent stuff all over the place. I've now got broken water mains popping up all over Pasadena Isle because of what these guys did. I've got glass all over my yard. Who's responsible for cleaning this up? I called you guys. I got transferred, I think, to the person you're talking to. They said, well, we fired them. Great. I still got a yard full of glass. Who's going to clean this up? Who's responsible for that? Not only that, the vice mayor's yard, across the street from me, had a huge pipe go up in the air. These guys were blasting everything. I've now got 2 neighbors that are having problems with their stuff. They're finding out later. What is the city's responsibility to us to help us out? I understand you probably don't have the money to do that, but what can we do to get something done? How can we help people instead of having a battle? We just need help. That's all anybody's asking for is help. The second thing is, I understand you fired these guys, and that's great, but you still hired them, which means you were still responsible for what they did. So all I'm asking is, can you help us? Can you help pay for some of the stuff that I've now got to do to clean up my yard from that idiot that was driving a bulldozer? And I've got videos. I was on my front porch and I watched it, and then he asked me if he could keep his bulldozer in my yard overnight. I said, sure, why not? Parking on the glass right there. I mean, come on. Okay, the last thing is, and this is something I don't know if you know the answer to, and you may have to ask your building people or whatever. There is a huge rumor going around, I don't know how many of you guys have heard this from Pasadena Isle, that the pump wasn't working on the island. If that's the case, is that why the water rose for the first time in 26 years? I've been there 26 years. They've been here longer than me. And everybody I talked to that's been there longer than me said, we've never had that happen before. Never. But that pump wasn't working. And if that pump's not working, that water's got nowhere to go. Do you know, was the pump working?
Well, how I know the pump was working, it was the storms that damaged the pumps, especially when they got submerged with water.
But there was a storm the week before, almost 2 weeks before.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just a straight storm. Boom. No hurricanes, no nothing.
I was trying to get through them all with water up to the side of my car.
7 inches of water in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was huge.
I had 27 inches
We're
of
at
water.
like sea level. Where could it go? I don't think it was the pump.
Okay, you know the pump was
I've
working?
asked Public Works, and they said it was just the ground was saturated, and there was an enormous amount of rain. We got water too.
None of the piping in the county is prepared for that type of rain.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you for doing the job you're doing.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, anyone else?
My name's Russ Bennett. I live at 1847 Shore Drive South, South Pasadena, at the same building that Michael resides in at Shorecrest. The 3rd generation owner there. My grandmother bought that place back in the 60s. Kept it in our family for a number of years. I finally moved over here full time and
Could you
decided to
speak
retire
closer
here.
to the mic? Can
Pardon
you
me?
speak a little bit closer to the mic?
I don't know where the mic is.
It's right in front.
Right there.
Oh, okay, sure. As I say, I'm a 3rd generation owner here. I've been here for 45 years. No one's ever seen the damage. Obviously, this took everybody, the whole city by surprise. We're all very frustrated with what's going on here. So I'm just gonna speak my mind because what else are we gonna do? I'm here tonight because I was told, as Michael pointed out, FEMA was at my apartment in my condo 4 days after the storm, after Milton. They were the first person there before my homeowner's insurance. They did an assessment. My place was destroyed completely. I am homeless. I don't have any place to live. My walls are gone. I don't have plumbing. I don't have anything. No AC. And unfortunately, it's because of the damage came from the roof. So the flooding, it's not the flooding thing. My basic question is, again, with Mike, if FEMA, and I'm not really sure where this all falls together, because I'm kind of novice. I've never had to rebuild or do anything quite like this, but I don't know if I should keep my house, sell my house. This is where I plan to die, retire, as my family and my kids grew up swimming here, all those things. And now I'm at the point that everybody seems to be doing a lot of this, and I understand the governments and legislations, and there's a lot of money involved. But why are we being held accountable for FEMA, for example, like the repair on our roof? So we got a roof to repair. They won't let us repair the roof. We really shouldn't repair our condos till the roof's repaired. God forbid there's another storm, right? Kind of a bit of a risky thing to reinvest in your property. We have assessments due to pay for these damages. Now FEMA, you mentioned 25%. I don't know why is FEMA holding us to such a level of accountability? Or what is the city of Pasadena benefiting by this 25% discount on what I wouldn't even possibly know or care? But what's in it for us? Why are we held to a higher level of accountability that's just going to delay? I may not be in my home for another year. That doesn't work for me. Who's going to pay for that? FEMA's already turned me down for every claim because I have homeowner's insurance and I'm in a condo with an HOA. So, you know, everybody's getting paid in this deal. And I don't mean you guys. I'm not implying any impropriety or anything, but why do we have to operate if we're a private company and FEMA's not involved in this claim? And like I said, you can't provide people with information that's not accessible. That's called unrealistic. Like I said, look at what goes on in government. There's some common sense here. This is not the first storm that's been hit in the country. FEMA is probably don't have any money anyway because they've given away to a lot of other areas, but that's neither here nor there. But why are we going to be held accountable by FEMA, an organization who may or may not have the funding that's going to slow down our ability to rebuild and restart our lives after we've paid taxes and all the things we've done for 30 or 40 years? There's a lot of residents in here, and not everybody just has the ability to write a check and do repairs and hopes you get reimbursed. That's why we have insurance. That's why we have these rules and regulations, and I'm aware of that. But what is this 25% you spoke on? Because clearly you know the law. What is this 25% discount?
Well, I can tell you that the 25% is your condominium. I guess you live in a condominium. That's
Yes.
what you're talking. So your association has to buy flood insurance.
Yes.
Okay? And they get 25% off the premium rate.
Great.
Because of the CRS that they do here in the city. So they would not get that 25% off anymore. You wouldn't be able to get HUD loans. You wouldn't get Small Business Association loans. You would lose most of your federal funding for people in the city. Is that correct?
Clarify, if the city does not follow the FEMA policies,
Correct.
that is the first level
By
of
the guidelines.
sanction.
Right.
You can be kicked out completely to where you cannot get federally backed flood insurance at all. So it's not.
Is that our only choice? I mean, what you're saying is we can't get flood insurance from anybody but FEMA is what you're saying, right? Nobody's willing to insure us.
So it's not even just a discount. If we don't follow this, if the city just said this is not worth it, we just want people to be rebuilt, we'll just waive the discount, forget the discount. You cannot get flood insurance at all.
Great. Now, having said that, my condo was ruined by the removal of a roof that flooded my 6-story unit. I don't have any flood insurance. I pay for flood insurance for the people on the first floor in my association. I don't ever get the benefit of it. Our roof was ripped off. I'm in the 6th floor of an 8-floor unit. My condo was flooded from roof. I had 3 inches of soot and roof in my apartment. Nothing. I had storm shutters up, boards up. I was prepared for this hurricane. Now, nobody can tell a roof's getting trimmed off. We get that. But that's a whole different issue than this flood insurance you're saying I may not qualify for, or not me, all of us. I'm just saying this, and again, no one's trying to get hostile. But I've been out of the house for 2 months, and I'm lucky enough that I have a place to stay. But I have no air conditioning, I have no plumbing, I have no kitchen, I have nothing, I have no walls, I have a gutted unit. I can't live in it, and FEMA's gonna stop. And see, I already got my homeowner's policy. I'm already paid to rebuild my condo. I'm committed to stay here and build and pay the taxes, all that. I've always planned to live my life here. But now I can't get a roof fixed, so I can't rebuild my condo. I can't do anything in my HOA because they have to provide the structure. I can't put up walls. I can do my floors and my cabinets and all the other decorations and buy everything else brand new that was destroyed from the storm, but I can't. Why am I going to be held? I can't get my walls up because you won't fix the roof. So what am I, just going to sleep in the street after paying taxes here for 40 years? I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm just frustrated like everybody else. But right now, understanding is one thing, and I appreciate that. But my point is, someone has to do something, because 3 months from now, if we're still doing this again, I'm just going to burn my building down. Okay? I don't need to. What am I going to do? I'll just move. My point is, someone, somewhere, like I said, this is not the first hurricane. It's not the first disaster. We've gotten through many of these things. Some tells me there's a process in place. But if they're going to make it impossible.
Oh, okay.
If they're going to make it impossible for you to qualify and hold you all hostage.
Sir, we understand, but now it's someone else's turn, please.
That's fine. Anybody else? Anybody agree?
Good evening, how are you? My name is Logan Worthington. I'm in 6849 Park Street South. Excuse me.
Can everybody please calm down so we can hear?
My name is Logan Worthington. I'm at 6849 Park Street South. I just want to do a little bit of background before I start into everything. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. I'm sure a lot of you have kids or grandkids, and we're just trying to get back to our house. I completely respect your jobs. I can respect what you're doing, and I appreciate that. That being said, I am living with my mother-in-law and father-in-law. My mother-in-law is on city council in the city of Gulfport. My husband is a first responder for city of Gulfport. For 20 years, she's been on city council for 10 years. So, you know, we know city of Gulfport. And what I'm not, and I've been in city of South Pasadena for 5 years now, and I've had no problems, and I've loved this city. That being said, the transparency is really, really the frustrating part. I know that you're frustrated, everyone that works here is frustrated, but I really think that every single person here can benefit with some more communication. And I do completely understand that my information is not the same as every person here. So I get that putting out a generalized isn't gonna work. That being said, the website is come on, everyone knows that website is just so.
The new one launches in January.
Okay, good. As I would say, yeah. I would love to be able to go on the city website and look at the meetings from last week, or last month, but I can't because it's not there. So,
Meetings are on YouTube.
okay, that's good to
Look
know.
on the website.
That's good to know. I didn't know that. Did you guys know that?
Out there.
So, my point is, I am very connected to the city of Gulfport. That's great. It doesn't help me in this situation. But I know what's going on there. I don't know what's going on here. And I work on it every single day. What's happening in the city of Gulfport? How can I do my own research to get my 3-year-old or 1-year-old at our house? I don't know. So I'm frustrated. And so that's where I'm coming from. That being said, I am working with Blue Mark Valuations to try to get my 50% number higher. Luckily, our 50% number is okay, but I need it higher so that we can rebuild our house to what our current or our past what it used to look like. But and I'm being told from them as of yesterday, City of South Pasadena is not working with them, and I really don't understand the process. So I'm here to just say, please, transparency, communication, and I think it would really help everyone working there and help every single person here in this room. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Josephine Figari, 7118 South Shore Drive South, South Pasadena. There's another problem I know you're probably not aware of, but I am very aware of. We have a rat situation. There was a rat in my house, a rat ran right across my foot. I've never had a rat ever. I looked outside the next day and I saw tons of rats running around the guy's garbage can. Another neighbor 2 doors down, they just took 11 rats out of her house. There are empty homes, they have food in them, they have rotting stuff all around the homes. The city has to do something. I mean, this has to go to the Board of Health, they have to do something. I mean, to have a rat, I'm by myself at night, frantic. I luckily can stay in my house because it's a 2-story, but the rats are upstairs, eating through every box, everything I brought upstairs, and it's a health hazard. It cost me a fortune to have my exterminator come back and back and back, and having traps and glue traps, and when you hear that thing snap, believe me, and when it ran over my foot, I thought that I've got PTSD like everybody else here from this situation. But I want you to be aware, and I expect something to be done about it.
Okay.
Because I've done all I can do, and they're still around. Okay.
These are my friends. These are my neighbors and my friends.
Yes, that's right. Hi, my name is Guillermo Abadia, 7063 South Shore Drive South in Pasadena Island. I'm a first-time homeowner, and this is all new to me. So the first question I have, there are 3 simple questions. First one, does the city provide any protection against contractors that don't meet their agreements? Or is that I'm on my own with my lawyers?
There's probably a local, with Pinellas County, a construction industry licensing board.
Okay.
So I would contact them to see, see what their process is. The state also has a construction industry licensing board that will review complaints.
Yeah.
So if there's an issue with a contractor that you have, I recommend you contact both the state and the local construction industry licensing board.
Perfect, thanks. The next one is price gouging. I mean, there's a lot of that going around. Unfortunately, those 50% letters were all public. So it just so happens that I got 3 estimates. All of them came like $200 below that 50% number. So I don't think they should be public. I'm just telling you that. And the last one is, I'm not accusing anybody, but I want to know what should be the right process to, if a public employee or contractor is requesting bribes to do work.
What?
File a complaint to whoever that organization is. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Is it a public contractor? Is it public employee or contractor?
Yeah, public.
My name is Jen Kowalski. I'm at 7032 South Shore Drive. We were very blessed and did not have any damage, and I'm here in support of my neighbors. Also, as a 35-year insurance person and currently a realtor, I'm very close to all the beach communities and the way that they're facilitating the same FEMA rules. So the 50% FEMA rule is no different from town to town. The way it's being exercised is being applied very differently. So I don't complain about stuff without making a suggestion. My request for you guys to help these people, talk to those other beach communities, find out what they are doing to fast track, because they are absolutely fast tracking these. There's condo people that are affected, there's single family homeowners that are affected, but the cities of Treasure Island, St. Pete Beach, these other beach communities are making very broad, not super broad, but they're compliant. The FEMA requirement is steadfast. It's the same for everybody. But in the way that they're efficiently handling it, by far, from my experience, this is my business, selling homes, is that they are handling it way better than the city of South Pasadena. And I know you guys are charged with that, and I appreciate the work and having to deal with everybody complaining. But I won't complain without a suggestion. Please talk to the other city communities, ask what best practices that they're implementing, find out where, I'm hearing in Pinellas County, in Largo, in Treasure Island, where if it's 12 inches or less and didn't touch the electrical, you're just moving through the process quickly. Why can't we do something like that? My heart breaks for the people in Shorecrest because they are dealing with stuff that is mathematically, it's not 50%. Help those people. Those poor people have so much damage in that building.
I have to say.
Breaks my heart.
Excuse me, I have to say, I'm on the chamber board all the way down to Bel Air. And I talked to them because I know I'm a commissioner, I go to their meetings, and they seem to be in the same boat that we are in. Might be one avenue is a little bit different, but it's the same thing down there, all the way down, of all of them. So it's not that we're singled out that we're not doing anything, we do care. And I have been very much so dealing with people like you because I am on community improvement. So if it's something I can do, I tell you, I do it. I do.
Yeah, a triage process, something for just that common sense. Can you fast track some of the people that have been waiting the longest? I mean, that's the way claims management typically has happened. You have to have a triage process. So, like the Shorecrest building is just one really blatant example. But if there's a way to just broad brush and say, okay, anything in this category, you guys are moving right through. That would mean a tremendous amount to the people in this room. So again, I appreciate the work you guys have to do, and I'm very thankful that I'm, here to support the folks, but there's a lot of people dealing with this. And we all have the same FEMA requirement, and if you read substantial damage summary sheet, they will tell you that they stop at the requirement. The way it's implemented is by the cities. So if you can help give Terry a big nudge, I think a lot of these people would really appreciate it.
And I've been following I've been following a lot of what the other cities are doing as well, and I'm very concerned over some of the shortcuts they're taking. I know that Terry is following things by the book, and personally, whether everybody hates me and wants to get rid of me later, then that's what you do. But I'm not going to ask her to do something that's going to cause more damage to the city in the future by losing any of the benefits the city has from the federal government. And those other cities, well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with their shortcuts and what they've done and how FEMA reacts to what they're acting. And I know you don't want that to happen to your city. I know you want to get back in your homes. I know you want to keep things moving, but I know you don't want a year from now to have more problems because we've lost what federal aid we can get. So if this happens again, and it could, I mean, we've been looking at this for 100 years and something comes along, but to try to push things through is when you get in trouble. And I know that Terry's doing what she can. Her and the three other people that work in the office with her. It's not like we got a big city full of people sitting in that office trying to get things done. She is our only plan reviewer, the only licensed plan reviewer we have. And we are trying to get other people from other cities to come in and help us, from the county. And we've reached out, but they are helping other people. They'll come in for a day and then leave and go to another city to help them. they're not gonna say, South Pasadena, we're gonna take care of you permanently, okay? And we do. We are reaching out to them. We're doing that, but they're not sending the people that we need, okay? So, I mean, we're a small city, unfortunately. So even though we got a big voice and we try to talk it and try to get it, it's still up to them to send us to people and to get it done. So, I mean, if you can reach out to the county, reach out to the state as well. I know you want to vent on us, and that's fine, but vent to the county, vent to the state, vent to the federal government as well. Please let them know that your city needs help, and get them in here to help us and help all of you. I mean, we got to act together. It's not just the 5 of us. We're supposed to do this together, okay? Now, well, you know, I give it to you now. Contact your senators, contact your congressmen, contact, you know, the county people, you know, your representatives in the county. I mean, there's people there that can reach out and get things done if they will and if they can. I mean, this is a massive event. And like someone said earlier, this is not the first time this has happened. But let me tell you, from what I've learned, it sure feels like it. I mean, when we talk about how did this city do this when they got flooded, well, nobody can give you an answer. Well, we didn't know. We winged it, and we lost this because we didn't follow that rule. And so we're trying to stay in that line and follow those rules so we don't become what happened to them. But then again, there's no one that can give us these answers. That you would think there would be. This is not the first time, and we've been through different cities throughout Florida that's flooded and can't get the right answers that we need that will work for our city. It's very difficult, and it's frustrating to think that there's not a system already there that you can just go to and say, oh, this is how it works. But there's not. It's a learning process and a learning curve for all of us, and especially for the people in the departments that have to deal with all the permitting and cleanup and everything else. I mean, we're doing what we can. I mean, when it comes to cleanup, there was over 50,000 cubic yards. That's almost 320 boxcars on a train full of garbage they hauled out of our city. That's just our city. And compared to what they did to everybody else, I mean, we hauled a lot out of here. We tried to do our best we could. We had things in line. You know, we had people lined up if something like this were to happen, but nobody realized the immensity of what happened. And the other cities, everybody was grabbing up all these vendors and snatching them up, and we were trying to get them. We weren't like other cities where we had an area, a dump. We didn't have a dump to take it to. We had to go to another city and get their dump to allow us. And then we had to get land from them and build a fence around it and bring it up to FEMA code and have a person hired to be there to watch as everything came in. I mean, we weren't like these places that had a park they could just take and dump everything in. We didn't have that. So, I mean, we did everything we could, and we're still trying to work with everyone. It's just gonna take time. You gotta look, like what they say earlier, we had 225 applications out of 3,200 addresses that received letters. So these people are going to start piling in all of a sudden, I guess, to get permits. But right now, last Tuesday, there was 114 applications for a permit. And 60% of those were approved and moved through. We were way ahead of any other city. Right now, there's 225 since the September 26th. And we've got 97 of those done. That's almost 50%, say 45% done. That's still better than other cities. I mean, we are doing what we can and doing it right and moving forward. And I don't want to sit up here and talk all night and speak to all you guys. I know you've got more you want to say to us. If anyone else wants to come up and speak, please come up. Please come up up here where everybody can hear you, and it's part of the future recordings for the world. So.
Wait.
Up here, please.
You have to come.
State your name and address.
That's okay. I just need you to start your comments with your name and address, and then I'll give you a card if you can go.
Okay, my name is Gloria Ehart. I live at 7625 Sun Island Drive, apartment 101, and I've been there for 13 years. So, you know, what I had understood is that you were not allowing other inspectors to come in from non-flooded areas.
Not
Is
true.
that true, or have you been allowing other?
Yes.
We have been begging for help.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you cannot get that help, then I would be more than happy to write letters, to call. I need the chain of command. Who do I call next? I'm not going to call DeSantis right away. Who do I call to go up that chain of command? So, you know, I think a lot of people have spoken about that. We need the information from you. I mean, you know, we had contractors, we have Claremont at Sun Island, so we have people working, they were here the first weekend.
Right.
So, you know, we have 120 units that were destroyed. All of them have been demoed. So I hear that you have given permits for 2 buildings and FEMA has approved to build back and create white boxes. So we need the information, how do we help you? If you're begging for inspectors, then how do we help you get that done? If you want me to complain to somebody, who's the next step?
Right.
You know, and I just.
And I'm sure the clerk's office can help you with that. I live at Bay Island as well, and I manage a place called Sea Towers Condominiums over by Madeira Beach, a little bit bigger than Sea Towers. And they've got Claremont there as well. I can tell you that Claremont just submitted for permits yesterday, so I don't think anyone has been approved for any permits in Bay Island as of yet. And they provided from my understanding is that they didn't give us all the information that's required, and they used an old permit application, didn't even use the one they're supposed to be using. So it was just lip service from Claremont at this point. So I understand what you're going through with them. I'm dealing with the same thing. I had 84 units that lost. It was every first floor unit at that community, and they had anywhere from 3 to 4 feet of water in every unit. That water came up there. We had 406 vehicles that were completely destroyed in their parking lots because people didn't leave or they left their cars there. So it was a big mess. And we've got Claremont as well. And they moved wrong pretty quick. They started ripping everything out. But now when it comes to the permit, they're just dragging their feet. They're not going. I mean, Claremont should have been, for your community, should have been out here months ago applying, when this all started. Well, you can apply for permits before you get the substantial damage letter. Doesn't mean you're going to get them right away because you got to wait for that to come out, but at least you can have your name in and get all the paperwork and find out if you did something wrong and correct it and get the right paperwork in. Instead, they waited till yesterday.
So Claremont's been telling us that they've been meeting with you weekly.
They haven't met with any of us, and as far as I know, they haven't met with our city CID staff as well.
So as an owner, how do we keep this chain of communication going? I mean, that's kind of the question. So Claremont's telling me one thing, oh yes, we did this and this, and South Pasadena is not responding. So now I'm finding out that's not true. So again, we've talked about that kind of information that we've talked to
I know that Sun Island has asked for Terry to attend their meeting this Thursday to go over the permit process with everybody, and she has agreed, so she will be there at the meeting.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm going to call in. They want me to call in as well to provide what information I can, but I'd be glad to do that with any one of the communities that I can, and so will Terry. It's just that, again, it's something she wants to do to help, but I know it also takes her away from reviewing the plans to get permits out and keep things moving. But still, it's something that people are asking, so she's doing this, and I'll be glad to do it as well. And so would anybody up here to attend any meetings people want to give information that we can. But it takes them away from trying to get things done.
So are you going to continue to have monthly meetings, or?
We have a monthly commission meeting every second
Is the
Tuesday.
public allowed to speak?
They're encouraged to speak. It's only on events like this that we get folks.
Every regular commission
Rather
meeting,
you come to
yes.
normal meetings and talk to us as well.
Okay.
We need your input. Without your input, it's the 5 of us hoping we're making the best decision on behalf of this city. And we don't get anybody here to share their views with us unless it's a crisis, unless it's a hot button item like a dock being put in someplace. Then we hear from everybody. But it'd be nice to have feedback from our citizens and our constituents. Now, I always call you my customers, because that's what you are, basically. You pay for our taxes.
Well, right, we are.
Well, 42 years in sales, everybody's a customer. You know, but I mean.
Don't buy from him.
But no, we need your input, and not just on events like today, all the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll say it here, I don't know if everybody else will, but I mean, you call the city hall on any issue and ask to speak to a commissioner, I'll take your call. They'll give you my personal cell phone number if you ask for it.
Well, I called and asked to speak to Terry. I left a voicemail for Terry. I never heard anything.
Terry's own family doesn't hear from her right now, she's so busy.
Yeah.
I wrote a letter to Mrs. Penny and didn't hear a response.
Yeah.
And we don't hear from you either.
I didn't get a letter, so I don't know. Yeah.
So
Nobody's called me.
Well, anybody.
I could admit I could do better, or could have done better, but let's, moving forward, call, got a pen? 407-451-3084 is my personal cell.
Anybody who's called me, I have
Yes,
returned.
I have returned every
Me too.
email that was sent to me. They've called and got my number.
Same
and
here.
I've returned it.
So what would be the next step in this process? Again,
Well, for you at a condominium, your steps, of course, is to go through your board. Get your building director to represent you at the meetings, be there yourself and speak up, because condominiums are self-managed. They run everything themselves. So they're the ones that have to put the pressure on the contractor to get things moving, to make sure they're doing it right, make them show them copies of the applications and what was submitted, not just take their word on it. I mean, I would never do that. I've been managing condominiums for 25 years, and I know better than that. Contractors will tell you anything you want to hear. Contractors will tell you it's the city's fault. Contractors will tell you it's that person's fault. It's never the contractor's fault. It's always someone else's fault. So, I mean, and I've dealt with that for a number of years. I've been here in the city for 16 years on the city commission. And I've ran community improvement department for 3 years. I know what contractors tell people and what the truth is and what's not. So, I mean, you have to get your board to act. And I know at Bay Island, like I said, I've lived there for 21 years. I know that it's difficult. Bay Island board is a little difficult, but there are some good people on that board, and they will help. So you just got to keep pushing.
all right.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, thank you.
All right. Good evening.
I didn't get any card, but I wrote it on a piece of paper.
Thank you. Start with your name and address, please.
It's right there. Larry Rose, 6983 South Shore Drive South, South Pasadena, Florida. Been there for the past 30 years or so. Before that, I lived in Harborside 5-6 years. So I've been here for a long time. Yes, and I am an old codger. I admit it, I'm a grouch, grr, snarl. I got some questions and statements here that I just want to go through. My house was built 50, 60 years ago. Why do I have to build it back per new rules? Hey, there's plenty good there. My house is still, there's no structural damage. Everything is good. The only thing that some water got in, came through, it soaked my carpets and it got sucked up in the drywall. And because of that, I'm out of my house. Okay, processing permits, you know, there's got to be a holdup. I've been in construction well over 40 years. Well over 40 years, and I've worked all up and down the East Coast, from Virginia down here to Florida. I've done projects down in foreign countries. I've been invited to foreign countries to work with them. I've done a lot of Army stuff, Navy stuff, built Army buildings. I have been involved with, you know, multi-story condominiums, 17, 18 schools, whole brand new schools from the ground up. So I know a little bit about construction. Question here, I've heard that you're thinking about waiving the permit fees. Most of the other area municipalities seem to be doing that, waiving inspection fees. The time to get permits seems to be taking eternity. Everybody I talk to says, we've been trying to get permits for, you know, ever since the beginning, and they can't. Nobody can seem to get any permits. I've talked to subcontractors, contractors about doing the work. Oh, they can't get permits and oh this, oh that. They got this, you know, all kinds of nonsense that they're talking about, which I seriously discount a lot of it, but there's always a grain of truth in a lot of the stories that I am getting and being intimately knowledgeable with the construction trades. Yeah, I used to have a contractor's license. Waiving inspection fees. Okay, trying to get through a tax break. We can't live in our houses, a bunch of us. I haven't been able to live in my house for several months now. Why do I have to pay property taxes when I can't live in my house? Anybody else enjoy paying taxes when you can't live there? You can't do anything.
Got it.
You know, that's something. Okay, now this pump on the island is not working. Well, there's a sewage pump I know on the island, the South Pasadena Isle, and that thing really needs some work and needs to be adjusted so that when there's less sewage in there, it pumps sooner. Because once a day, the stuff gets a little hard to go down a toilet. So I don't do that. I'm a bachelor. I live by myself, so I don't have to worry about it.
Sir, we have to ask you to stop at this time, but there is some information on the property tax that you can get because of the substantial damage to your building. I think Carly, can you speak on that?
In Ellis County, there's a rebate program for property taxes, so if you have been displaced from your home, you can apply for a
Okay.
rebate on your property taxes, depending on how long you've been out of your home.
Okay, I got one or two other little quick questions.
No, sir, we have to go on with the next person, I'm sorry.
Really, that's on the website, isn't it, that text?
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to, well, I can repost it. It was put up a while ago, but I can do it
I
again.
have that too.
Yeah. Can you start with your name and address, please?
Michaela Strauss, 7037 South Shore Drive South.
Henry.
Okay. I'm a mom to 3 young kids who, like everybody else, has been impacted by Helene. I just echo everybody's statements about the lack of information. I had to call the permitting department. I understand they're busy, but 3 days in a row, I called 10 times each day, and I finally got someone on the 3rd day, and they happened to be at lunch, and she was really sweet, and she ran back and forth and asked the person questions for my answers. But my question is what are the consequences of, I know the permit list was very restrictive to begin with, but there were a handful of things on there that we could do, and then I was told that the permit list has since changed but has not been published. What are the consequences if those things have changed and we have done the work?
Not even
Nothing's
sure
been
what that's
changed.
referring to.
Like interior doors. You could replace interior doors before, and she said you can no longer replace interior doors without.
If it's all part of the, if I'm right on this, and I could be wrong, but if it's all part of the damage from the flood, then you can't just piecemeal your home back together. Everything has to be put into one permit to be done. And that's a FEMA requirement and state requirement, it's not ours.
So what will that consequence be if we have pieced some things together?
I don't think it's probably a good idea for us to have that conversation on the record. Probably want to have that conversation. Why not? Why? Why can't I go on record?
No, I realize that I'm on record,
I'm
but.
saying it right now, she's just admitted to a potential code violation.
No, it's for her.
It's for her benefit.
We're trying to help her.
I'm
You
only
understand what I'm trying to
yes,
say.
Yeah.
but yes, it was
A thought.
before it wasn't on the permit list.
There's reason for it, and that's a discussion that we'd be happy to have with you outside. Better for you.
So who do I talk to?
I will give you my information, and I'll get with Terry, and we'll meet with you separately.
Okay.
It would be better for you to do that
Okay.
than to discuss that.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, last thing. My daughter wants to say something.
Okay.
Sure.
We love our house. We want to be back for Christmas and listen to your hearts.
Thank you. Okay.
I'll answer the code enforcement violation question, but not relating to her because I don't want to put her in that position.
Right.
If you pull a permit, if you fail to pull a permit for an item that you're obligated to pull a permit for, and this isn't on anybody specifically, because there is no interest in this situation to put anybody in jeopardy, you have a violation of the building permit requirements. That's a potential code enforcement violation. It could subject you to fines. It could subject you to extra fees, and it can also subject you to issues with FEMA. We're never going to recommend to any of you that you take any action that is in violation of any obligation to take a permit. It's to get a permit. That is very, very problematic, and so the goal is not to see anybody here be in violation of the code. That's why I stopped that speaker, because I didn't want her saying things on the record that would create a problem down the road for her. That's my point and why I stopped her. But if you want further information as to what it would mean if you violated the code, they can have I'm happy to talk to anybody as it relates to those issues. But I think you probably want to make sure you're acting in a manner consistent with the building code. That's the only point we're trying to make.
The real building code and the new building code.
The one that is in existence to, I think you're frustrated and everybody's frustrated. I'm just trying to get the information out there. And I don't want to see anybody in a bad situation by making those comments on the record. That was the only issue I was trying to do.
All right. Thank you for waiting.
Jared Green, 6950 Grande Vista Way, South Pasadena. It's a lot of Souths. Is there a place where they're docketing, the order for our permit and inspection? And is there an ETA? We were told an ETA 2 weeks roughly, and haven't heard anything, haven't gotten any updates. Is there a place we can go and get an update on where we sit in queue? Because is it being taken as received, or is it just like, oh, we got a stack of piles here, I'm gonna pull this one and do this one today? How's it being handled?
She's doing it.
You're doing an order receipt?
Yes, she is.
Okay, and so I know for a fact we had to be one of the first ones to get that sucker in there, because we've jumped ahead as fast as we can with everything that we've been doing, right? I mean, we even ordered extra dumpsters for our neighbors, because we were worried they wouldn't get dumpsters if they called too late, right? So how do we find out where we sit in queue? You were saying earlier 60% of the ones received have been done, but we're not getting any updates. Again, this comes with the transparency and the communication aspect. Is there a way we can start communicating on that?
Well, I know if you're missing something out of your permit packet, or if there's something that's required, they would notify you to let you know.
Okay, so I haven't got that notice.
And have you called or walked into the office to ask them where you're at as far as in the queue?
Or no, that was an option, right? I mean,
Yeah, our office is just right around the corner. You can walk in anytime and ask.
Where are we in the queue?
Yeah, you can walk in there and say, hey, I put my permit in this date. Can you tell me where I stand?
Has there been an ETA set for the Tori, the woman that's doing? Has there been an ETA set for her to have all these complete? Like, is she being held to a deadline so she feels a little more fire? I mean, granted, she probably has a lot of fire, right? But somebody kind of pushing and helping nudge her along to say, hey, here's your deadline. Here, we're holding you to
If I even thought that Terry was holding back, then yes. But no, she is doing her job and harder than anyone that I've ever seen. So no, I'm not going to put a deadline on her to get these done. I'm going to make sure they're done properly and by code.
Amen, brother.
All right?
Is there an ETA that's been said, hey, we want to see these done by this date if possible, Terry?
No.
She has been working overtime. I mean, a lot of overtime.
Too much.
Yes, she
Yeah.
has.
Yes.
So, it is, I know it's kind of
So
hard.
that's what in order to develop sympathy, though, we need to understand what she's
Right.
dealing with, right? And that's
Right.
part of what she's dealing with. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it helps us as far as people in the community to understand, hey, here's a timeline where we should probably have this done by.
Right.
And if it goes further, well, then all these people show up again and build the whole thing again, right?
Yeah.
But at least to give us some hope out there. Right now, we're kind of out there in limbo going, well, we don't know what's going to happen. I saw her go to his house, but not my house. I saw her go to that house, but not this house, right? And it's just very confusing. And it's nice to know we can go somewhere and find where
Just
we're at.
call and ask where you are in your line. Call
Yep,
them, just
that's
call.
great.
And they will.
And as busy as that phone sounds like it is, I'd probably just go there and ask.
Yeah.
I'll just go there.
Or
Just
send
go
an
there.
email, yes, either way.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I've been waiting since September 16th for my second bathroom permit.
Oh, that's not in hurricane.
Oh.
No.
All right, is there anyone else? Just come up.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Are we,
Just start with your name and address, please.
Why is it necessary to give a name and address? I'm just
Public
curious,
record.
Everyone here, I don't think anybody would be here if they didn't have a vested interest. Is that a rule that you all are making up? Is it a law?
That is a rule as part of their procedure, but if you don't want to give your name and
rule.
address, that's okay.
Okay, that's all I want.
But also keep in mind, if you fail to give your name and address, if there's any communication that you want after this, we won't know how to find you.
Well, I mean, I'm sure folks have legitimate questions here and valid questions. I don't think there's anybody who's sitting here, who doesn't have an issue, with the flooding. But I was just wondering if that's a rule, if it's a law, but it's not required to give a name.
It's part of their rules.
And it's a ruling, it's a procedure, but it's
Rule.
not set in
If
stone.
somebody refuses to give their name, I shouldn't say refuse, decides they don't want to give their name or their address, that would not stop them from being able to speak.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. I may have another question later.
okay.
From a procedural perspective, everybody gets 3 minutes, and once you get past that 3 minutes, you're not supposed to.
Right, yeah. Ma'am, you've already had your chance up here. We need to let someone else come up.
I will also clarify that.
to ask a quick question.
I'm sorry, but we've got other people that want to come up.
I will also clarify for you all that part of the procedure relating to asking for people's names and addresses is so that the city can differentiate between residents and non-residents. Because if there are issues, it is helpful for the city to know who is speaking as a resident and who is speaking as a non-resident. So that is part of why that process is in place. For the city to be able to evaluate who lives here, who's a taxpaying resident, and who may not be. That's part of it. So just please keep that in mind.
That's why I told you how many years I've been living here.
Well, that's why we asked.
All right, please let this lady have her chance to speak.
Donna Peterinen, 1847 Shore Drive South,
Hi, Don.
Unit 105, in South Pasadena. I'm just curious now, what are the penalties for non-compliance of FEMA? I live in a condo, and yes, people are back to normal at their own expense. So what penalties do they have while I sit here waiting for it?
I mean, we've already stated, if the city fails to assure that the FEMA requirements are met, there is a variety of penalties that are community-wide, which include the city getting suspended from the FEMA program, no longer being eligible for grants or any other financial resources in the event of an event, a storm event, or a disaster, any disaster.
Any disaster.
It also could result in the city of South Pasadena being suspended or somehow, or downgraded from flood insurance program. So people would not be able to get flood insurance, or that flood insurance would be more expensive. If folks have been doing work and they haven't received their proper permits, and going back to what that would look like, that is a code enforcement violation. That is a violation of our regulatory requirements. There's also state requirements as it relates to that. So if you know of people who haven't done work and you want to let the city know that, then work without permits, then that's something that can be dealt with.
The contractors have been fined.
Yeah,
The unit owners have not.
Well,
I mean, if the contractors have been fined, then you should know who they are, of what work they did.
Without knowing specifics, that would be a bigger question, and this is a more general, I don't believe intended to be a town hall. This was intended for you to speak at a regular commission meeting, so I think as stated by many of the commissioners, it's not like we had a list of items that were gonna be discussed. So if you wanna go ahead, send an email with that information so that we can look it up, that would be valuable.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how it didn't answer. No, ma'am, if you're gonna speak, you gotta speak.
I just want to follow up on what she said. I'm Nancy Valancourt, 1847 Shore Drive, Shorecrest Building, first floor. Okay, who got the majority of damage from Helene, but we also got damage from Milton as well. If the city of South Pasadena is aware that a great percentage of people in our building are doing work, having contractors do work with no permits, and you are aware that that is happening, why aren't you going out there?
I would suggest to you, if you want to go ahead and make that complaint, that you put it in writing. If contractors are doing work without permits, they can lose their contracting license if they even have one, or they can be fined by the state.
Please remember, we don't know unless you tell us.
Well,
Give us a
we're
unit number
telling you
and
now.
what building
We have a
address.
big
You have to
Shorecrest
report
building.
that. We don't know people are working without a license.
Florida law also requires those types of complaints have to be made with your name on them. So you actually will need to make a complaint in writing with your name on it so it can be investigated. That's a requirement of Florida law.
Can it be general, though? I mean, we can put our name, but we don't have to.
Put it in writing, send the email.
Do we have to name individual unit owners that are doing it?
Gotta know where to go. We have to know where to go look.
Okay, all right, that's what I wanted to know.
Right.
But now you've been made aware of the issue.
Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
Hello. Michael Batuti,
Please, everyone, so we can hear.
Quarry Way South, South Pasadena. I just wanted to sit in here, I wanted to echo the transparency. The website is horrific. I just heard tonight that we can get a discount on our taxes. No idea. I mean, the information is just horrible. I don't know if I need a permit for drywall or not. There's no communication out there at all. It's horrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Please come up.
Hi, Beth Alfonso, 6900 Grand Vista Way South. Hearing earlier that there was a list of things you could do without a permit earlier, and that list has now changed. When will that new list be published?
There was no change.
Or she's,
It's just, it's FEMA requirements, what FEMA requires to rebuild.
so the doors, for example, that were at one time able to be put up without a permit, that are no longer able to be put up without a permit?
The law's still the same as it was, okay? So the law's still the same, it's just now there's different type of substantial damage, which means another law clicks in. It's not something we made up or came up with, it's just another law that came along, so.
Very good. Is that accessible on your website? So we can easily see what we can take care of and what we cannot take care of?
Building
at this
code?
date?
I'm getting a yes.
The code actually is available on the website. I did find it for remediation. Anything that's over $500 requires a permit.
Okay, that we did know already. That was it. I was just clearing that up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, go ahead and ask your other question.
Thank you. Sorry. You mentioned that Terry,
Introduce yourself again, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Record of all of this, so I have to know who spoke.
Gloria Ehart, 7625 Sun Island Drive, apartment 101, Bay Island. If Terry, who apparently is the developmental person, I don't know, if she is so overwhelmed, can you hire extra help?
We're trying.
The
Trying.
job has been posted.
We're not the only city that's running into this problem. Everybody's trying to hire, everybody. I mean, we even tried private contractors, and they are being contracted out by other cities, and we're trying to bring them in to take care of this for us.
And they have to be people that know what they're doing. I mean, they have to be highly experienced.
We cannot find help.
Okay, so again, we go back. So is there a way to communicate that? Is there a way to say, rather than me coming up here and asking another question, yes, we are looking for other people. We can't find it. Is there a way to get that information out to us so I'm not coming up here every couple of minutes asking another question? So,
Prior meetings.
Yeah. We don't have a social media person, okay? Again, a small city. We've got our city clerk. Our city clerk is it. So she's handling everything and trying to keep everybody updated. She's done a good job, and I try to spread it out as the rest of us do. We try to share the different Facebook pages and sites, like Pasadena Isle has their own. I try to make sure something's on there, so does Gail. Bay Island has 2 or 3 that we try to make sure there's information out there for them. And you live over in a condo, I'm sure you spread the information. She lives over in a condo, they spread the information. We try to get it out the best we can with what we have, but there's so many people who because of losing their homes, they're not looking at social media anymore. They're not looking at Facebook. So the only way to get things out to them is by either direct mail or on the website. And as Carly was saying, we've known for a while that our website was inadequate. And we've been working on it this last year, and it's finally up to the point where we can get it out. And with that, we'll have more information and more connections to help everyone. But also, we had a law a couple of years ago that everything on our website, of course, had to be like ADA compliant. Okay, and we weren't. So there's a lot of things we couldn't put on there. If somebody that can't see, can't get on there and be able to hear what one of our documents says, so on, then we were limited on what we could do. And that's being taken care of with this new website, so that anybody with any disability will be able to get on our website and get information that they have.
Okay. So let me ask one more general question. This may be unfair to you, but is there any way that you can say, like this would all be taken care of by April?
No.
Or there's no way you can say any of that? No.
I mean, even the contractors that we have working at the community where I manage and at Bay Island are saying it's gonna be almost a year before they get everything done. They said, and that's a quick guess on theirs, it might be longer. Because a lot of things are in process, and plus there's the insurance companies. They're not even handing out the allocations for all the units, and for the people until, they have 90 days from the date that the adjuster gives a final report to FEMA, and then they have another 60 days after that to cut a check and send it. Most of the adjusters that are working for FEMA and for private insurance people have not even submitted their reports, their final reports, all this time in. Okay, so they're running into that. So we're probably looking at March, April for people to even know what they're gonna be getting for the damage in their homes from their insurance companies, especially at the condominiums. And then, of course, that's when it's gonna fall into with some of the people that have done this work either on their own or with contractors who have not hired permits, because they're gonna have to prove to their associations that they did it per FEMA requirements in order to get reimbursed by the insurance for the work they performed. If they can't prove that, then they just spend all that money and not gonna get a dime back. All right, so the insurance, FEMA, when they come through, the FDIC, is not gonna pay for something that was not done per their standards. So anybody who moves ahead without following the requirements and getting the proper permits and the proper inspections takes the chance from their insurance company of not receiving their payment, especially in the condominium units. So, I mean, that's why Bay Island did well by bringing these people in, but it's taken a long time. So I understand the pain there as well.
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
I'm retired and don't have a place to live, and, the good graces of our friends, and we still have to pay all the bills and all of that.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're aware.
Oh, yeah, and of course, I'm sure you applied through the disaster assistance program to
Oh,
get
yes.
reimbursed for your
Yes.
rent and
I
things like
did get
that.
some
Yes,
rental assistance, so you can
Good,
apply for
good.
rental assistance, so.
yes, excellent. Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate all the work you're doing. I mean, I don't mean to,
Oh, I appreciate it. All right. Okay. So,
Yeah, they'll all come back.
all right, you back there.
Rob Wilhelm, Pasadena. This is kind of more for you. This is hypothetical. I'm not speaking about my own personal situation. Hypothetically speaking, I think it would be naive for everyone here to not know that people have done some work. Granted, that's safe to say. I think you all understand that. And so if someone hypothetically had a couple of inches of water and they cut their drywall out and they don't have insurance and they just wanted to take care of business and get it done. And then they started learning about all of these rules and requirements and things that needed to be done. So they stopped and they said, well, maybe I should consider not continuing to do work. So what would the advice be to people in that kind of situation? Should they just say, well, shoot, I've already done some work. I'm not gonna work with the city now and try to continue doing the work the proper way now because what's gonna happen to me if I do that? What kind of what's the recommendation on dealing with those kinds of situations? You say, would you recommend to someone that they just kind of say, okay, hey, all right, here's what I did, but I want to make it all right going forward from this point on. Will you work with me? Is that kind of the best route to go, or should you just take care of the rest of the business yourself and not talk to anyone and be done with it? I'm not speaking about myself. As I've stated many times, this is hypothetical. I'm not speaking about my own personal circumstances. So I'm not the only one here who's talking about this situation because, like I said, it's pretty common knowledge that that's going on. So would the recommendation be for people in that situation? Not myself. I'm speaking hypothetically.
The only thing I can tell you, sir, as on a personal note, is that I myself would come clean. I mean, I swore to follow the laws of the state and of the city, but I've always been the type of person that I've just done things right. And if I did them wrong, I stood up for it and said, I did this wrong. What can I do to fix it? So, I mean, that is the way to go. I mean,
Understood.
to hide things and to lie about things is never good. It's always gonna come back and bite somebody.
Yeah.
So just be honest. If you know someone, if you need to help someone, I know it's not you.
Okay.
But just spread the word that honesty is always the best policy.
That's kind of what my thought process was
Yes.
as far as this person's situation.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yes.
if you come clean and say, hey, I made this, someone made this mistake, and they want to continue to finish the process
Hypothetically, of
and
course.
take care of everything else
Yeah.
appropriately as they should, one would hope that there would be some, working together, if you will. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we're not gonna let anybody come back up. I let the one lady come up because I thought everybody was done, but we're not gonna let anybody come back and repeat. And at this point, we do have a meeting to continue, and we do have some fees we have to waive later. Hopefully, that's gonna be approved by everybody. So if you don't mind, we're gonna move on to the next section of our agenda. And that's gonna be the agenda comment portion of the meeting. And we will now accept agenda comment. So this is the portion of the meeting that the public can speak on anything that is on the agenda that is not a public hearing. So if there anyone in attendance that wishes to speak on an agenda item.
My name is Marge Laron, 1445 Corey Way South, South Pasadena. I would like to thank you because you have done the right thing in forming this resolution to waive permit fees. There isn't a whole lot that you're able to do to move this process forward. And we appreciate, my husband and I, that you are proposing to take this action. And I would especially like to thank Linda Thompson, because she was the impetus. She was the one that really pushed this issue until it became apparent to everybody it was the right thing to do, and we can do at least this for our citizens. So I so appreciate you taking this action.
Thank you, Marge. Okay. Anyone else wish to speak on an item that's on the agenda this evening? All right, seeing none, I will close the agenda comment portion, and we'll move into a public hearing. This is quasi-judicial. It's called item number 1. It's for a special exception. So item 1 on tonight's agenda is a special exception. I ask the city attorney and city clerk to speak regarding the hearing process.
At this point, I would request that if any of the commissioners had any ex parte communications relating to this application for a special exception, if they place that communication or what that communication was on the record.
No.
Nothing. Nope.
Very good. All evidence submitted at these hearings will be kept by the clerk to remain as part of the record. In accordance with Florida statutes, you are hereby notified that if a person decides to appeal any decision made by this board at these hearings, he or she will need a record of the proceedings, and that for such purpose, he or she may need to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made, which record includes testimony and evidence upon which the appeal is to be based.
This will be a public hearing for a special exception. As part of that, there will be an open time for public comment. If you plan to participate in that public comment, or if you will be presenting testimony as either the applicant or staff, please stand and complete the oath with me. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please respond, I do. I do. Thank you. When you come up to speak, either as part of the comment portion or when if you're speaking for the applicant or staff, please introduce yourself. If you're speaking for any public comment, please add your address. If you are speaking as the applicant, please identify if you're the property owner or the contractor on behalf of the property owner.
Okay. All right, at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing for item number 1. We'll begin with the hearing process with the staff reports. Terry Sullivan, please come up and present staff report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Terry Sullivan, I'm the Building Official Community Improvement Director for the city. And we are presenting a request, a special exception request to replace a seawall cap and raise the elevation of the seawall cap by 12 inches. The applicant is Michael Mittler, Gibson Marine Construction. The property owner, James A. Johnson and Amy Jensen Cretion, I believe is the last name, 7060 South Shore Drive South. The zoning district is RE 70, single-family residential, and AL Aquatic. It is a single-family residential structure, 10,755 square feet of parcel, which is approximately 1/4 of an acre. Proposed use is single-family residential. This request is for a special exception use permit to replace an existing seawall cap 12 inches higher than the existing seawall cap. In accordance with Section 130-17C3, a seawall is a use requiring a special exception use permit unless it is a repair or an exact replacement. The applicable code requirements, 130-17C3, uses requiring a special exception permit. The following uses require a special exception permit, provided, however, that repairs to or exact replacement of docks, seawalls, and boat hoists are exempt from the requirements. And number 3 is seawalls. 108-78, in coastal high hazard areas, development activities other than building and structures shall be permitted only if also authorized by an appropriate federal, state, or local authority. If located outside the footprint of and not structurally attached to buildings and structures, and if analysis prepared by qualified registered design professionals demonstrate no harmful diversion of floodwaters or wave runup and wave reflection that would increase damage to adjacent buildings and structures. Such other development activities include but are not limited to bulkheads, seawalls, retaining walls, revetments, and similar erosion control structures. Review criteria and findings. 130-17E, special exception use permit review criteria. In addition to the criteria set forth in 130-48, the following criteria shall also be met by any applicant seeking to obtain a special exception use permit in the Aquatic Lands District. 1 is to protect the right of the public to the use and enjoyment for recreational purposes of any of the water or submerged lands affected. And the finding is that granting the special exception will not adversely affect the right of the public to the use. Number 2 is preserve grass flats and flats for breeding and spawning grounds for fish. The finding is that granting the special exception will not adversely affect this preservation of the grass flats and flats for breeding and spawning of fish. Number 3 is not cause or contribute to erosion or waterfront property. The finding that granting the special exception will cause or contribute to erosion of waterfront properties. This portion of the property is in a coastal high hazard area, a V zone. Per 108-78, in coastal high hazard areas, development activities other than buildings and structures shall be permitted only if also authorized by the appropriate federal, state, or local authorities, if located outside the footprint of and not structurally attached to buildings and structures, and if analysis prepared by qualified registered design professionals demonstrate no harmful diversion of floodwaters or wave runup and wave deflection that would increase damage to adjacent buildings and structures. Such other development activities include but are not limited to bulkheads, seawalls, retaining walls, revetments, and similar erosion control structures. When you elevate a seawall for only one property and not the neighboring property, the most likely outcome is increased erosion on the unprotected property due to flanking erosion, where waves are redirected and concentrated against the unprotected property. When waves hit the elevated seawall, they are deflected sideways, increasing the force of the water impacting the unprotected area next to it. An engineering analysis has not been submitted by a qualified registered design professional to demonstrate no harmful diversion of floodwaters or wave runup and wave deflection. Number 4, not create any alteration of water flow, accumulation of debris, or creation of water pockets for incubation. The finding that granting the special exception will create an alteration of water flow or accumulation of debris on neighboring properties. This portion of the property is in a coastal high hazard area. Per 108-78, in coastal high hazard areas, development activities other than buildings and structures shall be permitted only if also authorized by the appropriate federal, state, and local authorities, if located outside the footprint of and not structurally attached to buildings and structures, and if analysis prepared by qualified registered design professionals demonstrate no harmful diversion of floodwaters or wave runup and wave reflection that would increase damage to adjacent buildings and structures. Such other development activities include but are not limited to bulkheads, seawalls, retaining walls, revetments, and similar erosion-controlled structures. Number 5, demonstrate that adequate precautions are taken to prevent saltwater intrusion into surface water tables. The finding is that granting the special exception will not adversely affect saltwater intrusion into surface water tables. Number 6, display that there are proper provisions to be taken for protection of an access to existing or proposed navigable channels or basins. The finding is that granting of the special exception will not adversely affect access to existing or proposed navigable channels or basins. Under 130-48, criteria for review of special exception use permit, the City Commission shall not grant a special exception use permit unless the Commission finds affirmatively on the following 4 criteria. 1, that granting the special exception will not adversely affect the public interest, and the finding is that granting special exception will create an alteration of water flow from which could adversely affect the public interest. Number 2, that the request use is reasonably compatible with surrounding uses. In making this determination, the following factors should be considered: hours of operation, traffic generation characteristics, setbacks and buffering, and proposed FAR and ISR. The finding is that none of these items fit into the request. Number 3, that the land and building area is adequate for the operation of the use, and the finding is that the land and the building area is not affected by the special use exception use request. Number 4, that approval of all of these that approval of the use will not result in reduced land values and detract from surroundings, and the finding is that there is no indication that the land values would be reduced or that it would detract from the surrounding areas. The recommendation, based on the review of the criteria of the City of South Pasadena's land development regulations, staff does not recommend approval of a special exception use permit to replace the seawall cap 12 inches higher than the existing seawall cap. That is my report.
Thank you very much, Terry. Anyone have any questions while she's up here at this time?
Terry,
Yes, sir.
if you look at the back from the water side to the houses, and you can see the dock here, and you can see there's a bunch of stones there and rocks that soften up the wave action coming into this particular part of the wall. The house to the right already has a higher section of wall there. The house to the left has the same seawall as these folks that are wanting this. That house to the left, if what you're saying, the only real problem here is the erosion and the kicking up garbage and debris and stuff when we have a storm like we just had. But under normal concerns and normal days of tidal waves and everything, that doesn't seem like it would be in effect. This would only be in effect in a major storm and when you have the higher seawall there.
It could be affected during king tides as well.
King tides, yes, I agree.
Yeah, so a lower tide could affect it.
Yeah, well, we're ignoring that this house here wants to raise it to the same as the one on the right, which is just kicking everything downstream is what it looks like to me.
Correct.
And under normal operation, I just don't see where that's a problem. Except for a king tide and there's not that much garbage out there anyway unless there's a storm. So like we just had. So.
And debris could mean just,
the trash is floating out.
trash is floating, it could be seaweed, it could be,
It was interesting looking at the Google Maps and zooming in on it and seeing exactly what was there on both sides of that house. And I can see why they want to raise it. So that was just my question.
Okay. I guess that's it. All right, thank you, Terry.
thank you.
Okay. Now I invite the applicant to present.
Hi.
Hello.
Amy Jensen Chrétien, 7060 South Shore Drive South. You were in fact correct. The house, if you're looking at the water to the left of us, has a substantially higher. Yeah. And that did affect us during the storm. And that's why we want to build it higher, but also we just put a pool in and it's passed all of its permits. The slope would be too great coming down, and so if we raise it 12, then it will soften the slope from the pool to the water.
Okay.
I'm Mike Miller. I'm with Gibson Marine Construction. I'm the marine contractor on this project. The wave run-up analysis, which Terry was talking about, was never brought up that we had to even consider being brought into getting an approval on this. never even was considered. All it was talked about was the elevation, because it's not an exact replacement of the seawall cap where it is now. So the exact seawall cap would be at the same elevation, 20 inches wide by 12 inches. We're asking for a 24-inch cap by 24, raising it up. That was all that was ever discussed. In regard to pushing water left and right on neighboring properties, the one property already is elevated. Our new wall or seawall cap will have return walls or return cap returns on both sides to make sure that any of the water flow is captured on our property. So it's not pushing water left or right to the neighboring or adjacent properties. The third thing, with all that riprap out there, that's gonna dissipate those waves on a normal storm. That's gonna push those, that's gonna calm everything down, not to go onto neighboring properties.
Is that the stones that you see
Yes,
out
sir.
there on the other side? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they put those out there on some high-traffic areas to break up that wave action to slow everything down. So, again, this whole thing came in with, we're not building at the same thing, and without getting into what somebody interpreted or not, I think the interpretation of the code was kind of taken out a little bit more than where it should have been in this particular case.
Can you explain to me how your cap return that you've got at each end, I'm looking at here, is going to prevent water from going to the property that doesn't have?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're gonna
higher
do is
seawall.
we're gonna, your cap facing the water, and then we have a return cap that's gonna be below grade and up to the top of the new elevation. So we're gonna run that back 10 or 12 feet, whatever's required, not to affect the drainage going onto the neighboring properties.
And they also have, what is it called, trash rocks in front of their property.
Riprap?
Which
Riprap.
helps the current also, to protect them.
Okay. And the wall that is already higher in the other neighbors, I'm assuming that's been there for a number of years or
Yeah.
something? Nobody, you probably don't know.
It's been there a long time.
I didn't put it
It's
in.
been there a long time. Okay. Okay. All right. I think that's all I have right now. You guys have any questions?
I do. Thank you for your presentation. The height, the proposed height is 12 inches higher than the current height?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And will the proposed height match exactly the next door neighbor's already raised, or are we gonna have a variation in that as well?
It would be lower.
It's gonna be lower.
Well, lower than the left,
Higher than that.
higher than the right,
Which is the one that's raised already?
The left.
to the left.
So it's
You're
gonna,
facing the water.
so yours is gonna be higher than the one that's already higher? Lower. Okay.
So it's
So
kind of in
be like a
between.
step down.
High, medium, low, yeah.
So is
That's
the
not
primary
gonna
reasoning?
impact- It's not gonna impact the people on the right.
No, no, because as I stated, they have a lot of trash in front of, their wall.
Yeah.
And so what she was saying about the current, that's what trash is meant to help with, not to affect you with current and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, so to riprap all the rock.
Yeah, that's,
Yes,
they're gonna-
Right. So,
yeah, we've got it.
oh, go. Sorry. Sorry.
Riprap, excuse me. So if I'm understanding, the purpose behind the permit request, the special exception request, is not to keep water out, but to keep runoff away from your pool? Is that, am I understanding the thought?
Oh.
Because I'll be honest, when I first got
Yeah,
this,
I
I was like, why would somebody want their seawall higher than the neighbors? It just causes water to pour around.
Well, you-
It's gonna come around on the sides. I
Well, it's
mean,
a loaded- it's a
I was a kid, I played in the bathtub. I put water in there and water went around with whatever I put in the way. I mean,
You know,
you did, yeah.
everywhere where we have the ability as a marine contractor to raise up a seawall elevation, no matter what municipality or city or, in the county, we try to do that, especially with the sea level rise, in the last few years. So anytime that we can mitigate some of that water coming into a yard, we try to do that. it's feasible.
But there's no impact on the adjacent yard.
Correct.
I have a hard time convincing me on that one.
You know, those,
I mean,
those.
higher wall in the middle of water, the water's gonna go around the lower wall.
Again, those return walls are gonna stop, you know, the water's gonna come, it's gonna come from the street, it's gonna come from there, it's gonna go around. What we're trying to do is mitigate any of the water going onto the adjacent property. So those return walls, again, could go back 6, 8, 10 feet, you know, once we get to the grade.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I think if we look at a storm surge, there's nothing gonna stop that.
But, you know, during a summer high tide, having that extra foot, it will by all means protect it.
Good, yeah.
Okay, just one more thing. So, just make sure I got it straight in my head. So, the riprap, all the rocks and stuff that are out in front of the lower property, I guess on the right, if I can get my thing right, will protect that one from getting the overflow. So why wasn't that protect this property as well? I guess I'm lost there. Instead of raising their.
Overflow, it'll slow down the wave action.
Slow it down.
Yeah. It's not gonna prevent, you know, if we get a king tide and, you know, having that
Right.
lower wall, the water's gonna come into that yard. But it may protect this yard because they're coming up that 12 inches. It was brought up about the amount of trash that would be brought in and the waves coming around. Those rock are out there to dissipate the force of those waves and slow it down.
So this wall being built up to 12 inches, and then the yard being brought up to grade means that the yard will now be at the level of this new 12-inch? So it brings the yard up.
Yeah, a little bit lower.
A little bit lower, but pretty much just to level it out more, so there's not a steep incline.
And I guess I assume that the neighbors, primarily on the right-hand side, don't have any issue?
No.
Okay. Because I know notification cards went out, letters went
Twice.
out.
Okay, okay.
And as he stated, the house on the left is an older, I guess, what you would qualify as an older system.
Yes.
The newer systems have that built-in, what did you call it?
The cap return?
The cap returns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
It's a better technology to protect your neighbors.
right.
Good.
Any other questions before we move on? All right, thank you. Okay.
Can I just say one thing?
Oh, yeah, sure.
By the way, I would be happy to volunteer for any help you need. No one brought that up today. I bet you would have an army of volunteers. Our city is great.
It is.
Well, the problem is you have to have the knowledge.
The license.
Way to insult the
You know, I'm just saying for permitting and it's not, it would be nice to have the bodies, but you have to have the knowledge.
I'm talking about things, you know, that I.
Anything, yeah, as far as
No, I understand.
helping to clean, helping someone, yes,
You have a
right.
lot of lawyers and,
Good lady.
Yeah.
you know, engineers and whatnot out there.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, are there, those wishing to speak in favor of the application are now invited to speak. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak in favor for the applicant? All right.
There's a
See-
gentleman back there in the back.
From their description, what I can understand, it sounds like it's a good shot. It's brazen.
You need, yeah, please come up. Favorite address.
Lawrence Rose,
Okay,
6983 South Shore Drive, South Pasadena, Florida, 33707. Same as before, dear. Oh, okay, yeah, I understand that, but, you know, I'm an old grouch too, what can I say? Grr, snarl. I love puppy dogs and kids.
all right.
From the description, it sounds like they've addressed the situations, and it seems like it's going to be doing something good. I didn't hear anything where it would be of negative impact or deliberate negative impact to anybody. It just seems like they're catching up with the guys on one side and evening up with the other guys and protecting everybody. So it's a win-win-win as far as I can see, without looking at the drawings and doing an in-depth investigation for which I would have to charge. And I don't think you guys gonna want me to charge you all for that information, since that's my bailiwick. It seems to me like it's something that pretty good.
Thank you. Okay, and now, if there are anyone here wishing to speak against the application? All right, seeing no one. Does the applicant wish to say anything further? Usually this is the part where you would rebut someone that was against you, but there's no one, so. It's okay, all right. And are there any closing statements from staff? Thank you. Okay, and one last time, any closing statements from the applicant? Okay, process. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing for this item. Is there any discussion amongst the commission? Any further questions you might have, concerns? Anything from Terry or the applicant?
Well, when you read through everything that they were going to do and the process of doing it, it was well thought out.
Yes.
You know, I was impressed by that when I read the information.
Okay. All right. Well, I would now call for a motion to either approve or deny of the application for special exception from Michael Mittler / Gibson Marine Construction for 7060 South Shore Drive, South Pasadena, Florida, 33707.
I make a motion.
I second.
Wait, I need to know what the motion was.
You need to hear the motion, please.
Oh.
Let her go first. She was
The motion
first.
is either to approve or deny, so I need to know what the motion is.
Yes. What is your motion?
To approve. And second to approve.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this? All right, Carly, call the vote.
Nidinger?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Penny?
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you.
You've waited long enough.
I learned a lot tonight.
Me too.
Same problems there.
Just bigger.
See, we
All
can
right.
get things done.
Okay, now we're going into the item number 2, which is ordinance number 2024-06. And I'll ask our city attorney to read the ordinance by title, please.
Ordinance number 2024-6, an ordinance of the City of South Pasadena, Florida, amending Appendix Chapter A198 fees of the Code of Ordinances related to rates and charges for sewage usage to increase the base minimum monthly sewer rates and sewer flow charge rates by 8%, providing an effective date. This is second and final reading.
All right, guys, we've gone over this at workshops, and we went through it last week. Does anyone have any concerns over this at this moment before we call for a vote?
Sorry, this is a second and final reading, so it's a public hearing.
Oh, okay. If you insist.
Sorry.
At this time, I open a public hearing for ordinance number 2024-06.
Thank you.
Okay, I see no one running up here. Seeing no further comment, I close the public hearing for item number 2, and I entertain a motion to pass and adopt ordinance number 2024-06 on second and final reading.
I motion to pass it.
I second.
Okay, now is there any discussion? Seeing none, Carly, please call the vote.
Thomas?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Nidinger?
Yes.
Penny?
Yes. All right, item number 3, and this is ordinance number 2024-07, and I'll ask our city attorney to read an ordinance by title.
Ordinance number 2024-07, an ordinance of the City of South Pasadena, Florida, amending Appendix Chapter A198 fees of reclaimed water to increase the minimum monthly reclaimed water service charge for single-family residential customers to $10.87 and to increase commercial and municipal service charges to $310.58 per pervious acre, providing an effective date. This is the second and final reading and does require a public hearing.
This time I open the public hearing for ordinance number 2024-07, and I'll ask for public comment. Anyone have anything? Okay. Seeing nothing, I close the public hearing for item number 3, and I entertain a motion to pass and adopt ordinance number 2024-07 on second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, probably please call the vote.
Thompson,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Ettinger,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Penny.
Yes. We have no unfinished business this evening, but we do have the consent agenda, which is item number 4. This is the approval of the commission meeting minutes for the month of November 2024 on file in the city clerk's office. I entertain a motion and a second to pass the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Under new business, we have item number 5. This is resolution number 2024-10, and I'll ask our city attorney to read the resolution by title.
Resolution number 2024-10, a resolution of the City of South Pasadena to temporarily waive local building permit fees beginning October 1st, 2024 through and including March 31st, 2025 for repair and demolition of hurricane-damaged residential and commercial structures, installation of materials and equipment within and attached to damaged structures, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. All right, do I have a motion and a second to pass resolution number 2024-10?
I motion to pass that.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, well, I know we beat this one to death as well, trying to figure out how we're gonna make it all work. I'm glad that we were able to come up with concessions to make this appropriate for the people who suffer damage from the hurricanes. The permit fees still have to be paid for those that are not hurricane related. And this does not mean that you do not have to get a permit. You still have to get a permit. It just will not cost you. And we will be refunding back to October 1st anyone who has paid for a permit at this point. So seeing there's no further discussion, I'll ask Carly to call the vote.
Reed,
Yes.
Ettinger,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Penny.
Yes. And at this point, I would just like to say to Julia, our attorney, that we are going to miss you. We know that you are leaving us and going off to brighter waters, but you have done so much for the city, and we appreciate everything that you've done for all the time that you've been here. We really, really appreciate it.
Unnecessary. I have to tell you, this decision was made hard because of this, my love of this jurisdiction, my love of everybody here, my love of Carly, my love of Terry, my love of Chief, my love of Sean, and it has been an absolute pleasure. And please, I mean this sincerely. I'm going to work for another local government jurisdiction, and I love local government, and it is completely my intent to be available for anything that is needed. You have an amazing team at Gray Robinson, and we have dealt with these FEMA issues all over the state. Kristen Gray has been amazing and is working really hard. We have. You're going to end up with a lot of lawyers loving on you, not just Julia. So you're going to be fine.
okay.
Even David, we're even bringing back David Ottinger.
That's right. We expect you to make your best effort to show up to all the city events from
And
this point
Julia,
forward.
I just
So-
want to say,
I'm staying on the Facebook page. So.
All right.
I just want to say, for the effort that you gave us for the fire department to build our new fire station, of course, with, the help of our chief and everybody, but your help to get the property the way it was supposed to be, and your knowledge of land use has just made all the difference in our being able to have a first-class fire department in our city.
Thank you. It was a group effort from our offices, but the love of this city. You are true. This is truly a city and a jurisdiction that's incredibly special. Everybody works very hard together. We all try to do the right thing. Obviously, this last few months have just been not what there's no words to describe how hard it has been on you, and I'm just blessed that I've been able to work with you, work with your codes, work with your jurisdiction, work with everyone, and I might cry, and I don't want to.
Don't cry. Okay, we will miss you. And that was one of the reasons.
But I am a phone call away. It is not like goodbye forever here.
That's right. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons that a lot of us got into, with the city, is because it's a small town. We all go to Publix, we all go to Winn-Dixie, we all shop together, we go to the same restaurants, we go to Lever Rocks, we hit all the same places. We know everybody. We're all neighbors, so, we're here to help each other. So at this time, I'm gonna wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday. Hope to see you guys Friday night. You can come there and you can talk to us some more. We'd love to hear more from you. Come out and have a good time, though. Have some refreshments. Enjoy some holiday cheer. And at this point, I'm going to adjourn and let some people go home.
Amen, brother.